discover the 7 most terrifying videos exposing cursed and sinister hauntings you mustn't watch. Jess sat alone in her dim living room, her eyes glued to the old, battered camcorder that had sat neglected in the attic for years. It was an unassuming piece of technology, but the local legend whispered about the family it belonged to, a family that vanished without a trace, leaving behind echoes of their laughter and cries captured in the recordings. Now, Eli and Lily, her 2 children, were laughing and playing around with it, blissfully unaware of the darkness that lurked in its shadowy depths. Eli's face was glowing with excitement as he aimed the camera at Lily, who twirled in a dramatic fashion. But Jess felt a strange chill in the air, a prickling sensation that made her uneasy. The house seemed to breathe differently. The walls murmured secrets that she couldn't quite catch. "Mom, come see what we recorded!" Eli shouted, breaking her from her thoughts. As images flickered to life on the screen, normal chaos filled the frame. The children danced, tossed pillows, and goofed around. But Jess caught a glimpse of something. A dark figure slipped in and out of focus in the background, just behind the bookcase. Her heart raced. Had she seen that right? She brushed it off, attributing it to fatigue. Sleep had become a mere stranger with her 2 jobs and raising the kids alone after Sam left. Still, the unease lingered like an unwanted houseguest. Days turned into weeks. The camcorder documented everything: a lazy bedtime routine, quick meals, even their homework struggles. Lily talked more about her invisible friend, a shadow that played with her. Jess believed her imagination was running wild, but deep down, an unsettling feeling twisted in her gut. Whispers would echo off the walls at night, but Jess silenced her own fears to comfort her children. "It's just the wind, sweetie," she said, pulling them close. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." But the whispers crescendoed into something clearer. The voice beckoned, chillingly inviting. "Come play, Lily." As Jess felt icy fingers creep over her skin, she dialed the police. "It's just a tired single mom, ma'am. You shouldn't worry about things that aren't real," the officer said. Isolation thickened in her chest like a heavy fog. Each day the figure in the recordings grew bolder, more defined, manifesting an eerie watchfulness. Then came that stormy night. Thunder rumbled ominously, while Jess decided it was time to confront her fears. They gathered around the flickering camcorder, the screen glowing. What she saw stole her breath. A shape emerged behind them, a dark silhouette watching from the mirror. Her heart thundered in her chest as panic seized her. Just then, the feed froze, her blood running cold as Lily appeared on screen, head deep tilted, eyes empty, a horrifying stillness captured in time. The faint whisper echoed back, "They can't leave, just not until you understand." Frozen in fear, dread pooled in her stomach. What had her children unleashed? With the shadows closing in, Jess realized she was their only protector, but could she unravel the truth before it consumed them all? Jess's heart pounded in her ears, each beat drowning out the chaos around her. The camcorder flickered ominously, more a portal than a device. Eli clung to her side, his innocent eyes wide with fear, while Lily stood frozen, staring at the screen, entranced. "Mom, it's just a video, right? Just a video," Eli stammered, but his voice trembled, betraying his panic. "No," Jess snapped, snapping out of her trance. She had to regain control. "We're turning this off. Now." She reached for the camcorder, but Lily screamed like a wounded animal. "No." Don't. I need to see. The sound cut through just like a knife. The eerie whisper collided with the howling wind outside, merging into a bone-chilling chorus. Play with me. Come play. Stop it, Lily, Jess said, her voice shaking. You don't understand. But Lily's face twisted into a ghoulish grin, her small body vibrating as if charged with an unseen force. It horrified Jess. This wasn't her daughter anymore. The little girl she knew was slipping away. With trembling hands, Jess flipped the camcorder off, and the room plunged into a heavy silence. The weight of reality assaulted her. It's just the wind, she repeated under her breath, though a part of her doubted it. The hairs on the back of her neck prickled. She needed to act fast. Come on, you both need to stay in here with me, Jess commanded, leading them into the kitchen where the unfamiliar shadows couldn't reach. The storm lashed against the windows, but she felt uneasy. The walls around her were closing in, pressing down with an oppressive force. Mom, Eli whispered, voice shaking, what did we find? What happens now? What if it was real? Lily's tone shifted into something older, something far too knowing. Jess's breath hitched. The shadows were just behind them, seeping through the walls. She couldn't ignore it any longer. Desperation clawed at her as she snatched the now quiet camcorder and pressed play once more. This time, determined to collect as much information as she could, she focused through her tremors. The screen illuminated the darkened kitchen. The kids danced in the background, and suddenly the hazy figure pierced through the static. A blurred face formed, twisted in malevolence. Jess's throat tightened as she saw the bitter remnants of a smile, sharp and hungry. Her mind raced with questions as panic surged through her. Who was this tortured specter, and why had it latched onto her home? Mom! Eli's voice startled her. It was here. Did you see that? It was in the hallway. Jess jumped, heart threatening to leap from her chest. She turned to the hallway, swallowed by shadows and deepening dread. No, 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 she breathed. Nothing else there. It's just a trick of the light. But then she remembered the hours spent staring into the darkness, alone with the whispers. What was she hiding from herself? She felt coldness wrap around her core, squashing her resolve. We need to leave, she said, her voice low but steady. She gathered them close, determination mingling with terror. We'll stay with Grandma. Just pack a few things. As she turned towards the door, something caught her eye, a flicker of movement, brief enough to be mistaken for fatigue. But this time it was clearer. The figure stood there, fully formed in the dimness, grinning. Come play, just the words slithered through her mind, chilling her blood. She spun around, rushing back toward the children. Eli, Lily, we have to. A sudden crash echoed through the house, walls vibrating as if they were alive. The door slammed shut, trapping them inside. Panic surged, thrumming through Jess. The shadows whispered again, a cacophony of sinister laughter, echoing her deepest fears. In that frantic moment, with dread wrapping around her heart like a noose, she realized something terrifying. They were not alone. As the shadows twisted into forms that crept closer, Jess knew it was just the beginning. But could she find a way out before it was too late? With darkness tightening its grip, she caught a glimpse of a door, a glimmer of hope amid the despair. But as she approached it, the whisper shattered her thoughts. You can't leave without understanding, Jess. You're part of the game now. Would Jess dare to unravel the tangled web of this supernatural threat? Or would the sinister presence claim her and her children forever? Jess felt her breath quicken, her lungs constricted by fear. The shadows pulsed, alive and relentless, inching closer with every dread-laden second. What do they want? She gasped, panic flipping in her stomach. Eli clutched her leg, his small fingers trembling against her skin. Mom, I don't like this. I want to go home. But this was home. Or it had been. The house now felt like a sinister prison, lively with the whispers that taunted and teased, promising both nightmares and revelations. Jess felt a thrill of betrayal. The very walls conspired against her, and all that was familiar was fraying at the seams. "Lily, please!" Jess's voice cracked. She turned to her daughter, but Lily was no longer the innocent child she remembered. Her blue eyes glinted with an unsettling darkness. "Don't you see, Mom? We need to join them." "No!" Jess shouted, her heart racing as terror shot through her veins. She could hear the whispers grow louder, filling the air with a banquet of madness, each word weaving into her mind, slick with malevolence. "You're being fooled. Snap out of it." Lily laughed, but the sound was foreign, warped like a record player on a loop. "You don't understand, Mom," she said with a mocking tilt to her voice. "You can't help us unless you play." In a flash, the unsettling image of the camcorder surfaced in Jess's mind. What if this all originated from that cursed device? It was a simple gadget, yet it felt imbued with something ancient, something twisted. Jess's instinct screamed at her to escape, to break free from the madness thriving within her home. "Eli, get your things. Now!" She spun around, grabbing a backpack from the kitchen table. Just as she did, the lights flickered violently, casting the room in chaotic illumination. Each flicker revealed shadows dancing in the corners, forming grotesque shapes. The noise grew unbearable, layers of laughter mixed with cries, echoing through the walls. "No!" she shouted again, fighting back the tears that threatened to spill. "We're going to make it out of here." Jess pushed her way toward the door, squeezing her eyes shut and hoping the terror would fade. Yet when she opened them again, the children were gone. A sickening tightening in her chest made her tremble. "Eli? Lily?" The shadows pulled at her feet like a living creature, snaking up to her ankles, pulling her down, inch by inch. Despair clawed deep, but she couldn't afford to falter. If they were near, she had to reach them. The whispers coiled tighter, slithering into her ears. "Stay, stay with us, join the game, no." Jess screamed again, the primal force in her voice battling their sinister calling. "I will not give in." Summoning every ounce of strength, she lunged toward the corridor, a desperate path toward the flickering outline of light she could barely make out at the end. But the shadows thickened, shrieking as they swirled relentlessly around her. She could feel the icy touch probing her, attempting to sink into her mind. "Join us, Jess," they hissed. "You know you want to." Sweat dripped down her brow as she fought the urge to surrender, but then, through the chaos, she caught a glimpse of the camcorder lying on the floor, its screen still cracked but alive. The face from earlier, the twisted entity, lingered there, eyes hungry and dark, beckoning her closer. Her heart raced as she reached for it, awareness sparking to life. If this thing tied them here? "Lily!" Jess cried out, her voice raw with panic. "Eli!" The shadows writhed in response, recoiling as if Jess's fear cut through their grasp. They were shifting, swirling with an angry energy that felt almost sentient. The floor shook beneath her as she tried to fight against the darkness. What if, in understanding the game, she could save them? What hidden truth would the camcorder reveal? Gripping it tightly, Jess stepped back, her pulse hammering, prepared to play by their rules to uncover whatever twisted fate awaited her. Yet, deep down, dread gnawed at her. This could lead them to freedom or to an even darker fate. As the final echo of the whispers hung in the air, Jess escalated forward. "I'm not afraid of you." The game was just beginning, and she wouldn't go down without a fight. But was the truth hidden within the camcorder worth the price she might have to pay? With every step she took into the unknown, a resonating question remained. What greater horror lay waiting just beyond the door of their reality? The air felt electric, pulsing with an unspeakable pressure, as Jess gripped the camcorder tightly. The lens glared back at her, a dark eye perched on the edge of something so sinister it made her skin crawl. What lay on the other side? Secrets? Lies? A way to save her children? Lily. Eli. Her voice echoed back at her emptiness swallowed the sound. The shadows writhed at her feet, becoming more animated, more aggressive. They seemed to pulse with anticipation, as if they could sense her growing determination. As she stood there, a whisper floated in, seductive and low. Join them, Jess. It's so much fun. The words slithered like serpents through her mind, wrapping around her thoughts, squeezing tighter. The shadows swelled, dark fingers curling around the camcorder, inviting her to submit. No! She yanked her arm away, the camcorder nearly slipping from her grasp. Desperation fueled her. She had to face this terror. She had to uncover what lay hidden. Steeling her resolve, she pressed the camera's playback button. The screen flickered to life, displaying chaotic images of their house, before it fell into darkness. But something was off. She could hear the echoes of past arguments, laughter twisted into cries, and the constant sound of something scratching just out of view. It was as if the walls themselves bled memories. Not enough to hide from. Mom, Lily's voice drifted from the screen, her image twisting grotesquely. You need to see it all. You need to play. Jess's breath hitched. The camcorder acted as a bridge between realities. A low rumble vibrated through the floorboards, and the house groaned as if it were alive, aching for the grip of the children. Lily. Eli. She shouted again, panic crashing over her like waves. Each second was a countdown, racing toward madness. The shadows grew even darker, swirling like a storm as they ripped at the air around her. Suddenly, the screen flickered again, and she leaned closer. What emerged made her blood run cold. Two figures wandering through the dark hallways of their home, shadows housed inside twisted forms. It was them. Play with us. The figures screamed in unison, voices layered over each other, a cacophony of taunts melded into a heartbreaking symphony of despair. Jess staggered back, her heart in her throat. She had to fight this. She wouldn't lose her children to whatever cursed game this was. The camera's light flickered brighter, illuminating a path forward through the chaos, beckoning her to step deeper. Mom, we need you. This is how it works. The sound was pleading yet eerie. In that moment, Jess understood. Playing along was the only chance she had left to reach them. She took a deep breath, trembling but resolute. Darkness swirled, threatening to pull her in, but she would not surrender. Each step was a battle, shadows yanking at her heels, almost tripping her. She pressed forward, following the light of the camcorder, feeling it draw her in, whispering promises of truth that might lead her to her children. As she neared the heart of the darkness, her grip tightened on the camcorder. What do I need to do? A sudden jolt surged through her, as a myriad of responses echoed back, their chilling synchronicity sucking away her breath. Play or they will never come back. The shadows screeched. In that moment, everything felt poised on the brink. There was a dizzying beauty in the horror, like standing on the edge of a cliff, winds howling, daring her to leap. Now, the flickering light dimmed, sinister laughter mixed with the shadows forming swirling figures around her. Would she choose to embrace the darkness to save her family, or could she find another way? Questions lingered as the darkness loomed, hungry and relentless. Jess swallowed hard and pressed her heart against the truth unfolding before her. What awaited her within the shadows? Would it crack the shell of horror that confined them, or would it consume her whole? As history whispered ominously, Jess took a deep breath and plunged forward. The moment she plunged into the dark, a chill clawed at Jess's spine, wrapping around her like an ice-cold hand. The shadows seemed to thicken and pulse, each beat almost alive. She held the camcorder tightly, its small light the only beacon against the growing void. Come closer, Mommy, a voice coaxed, and Jess's heart stopped. It was Lily. Her daughter's sweet voice twisted with something malevolent, a dark melody playing on repeat. "Lily, where are you?" Jess shouted, trying to keep her voice steady. Her eyes darted left and right, searching for any sign of her children. Each word echoed, swallowed by the oppressive darkness, making her feel small and powerless. Before she could react, the camcorder flickered, images spilling once more across the screen. This time, the laughter was replaced by soft whispers, urgent and frantic. "Mom, it's a game you just have to play." Eli's voice drifted through the air, a ghostly wail that skirted the edges of her sanity. "No, I want to play." Rage surged within her. She needed to remain strong for them, to fight against this nightmare. But doubt crept in, gnawing at her resolve. Maybe this was the only way to save her kids. A shadow darted by, too quick to identify, but the movement sent a shiver down her spine. Just pressed deeper, following flickers of light that danced elusively around her, like fireflies in a darkened forest. "Look!" Something howled from the depths, a roar of fury that sent bone-deep terror radiating through her. The camcorder began to display grainy images, showing the house in its serene state before their lives fell apart. But the longer she watched, the more the happiness twisted into grotesque scenes. Holidays turned into quarrels. Laughter morphed into screams. Mom Lily's voice chimed again, this time close enough that Jess felt a cold breath on her neck. "You have to finish it. You can't leave us. We're all in here together now." Jess spun around, scanning the shadows for her children, desperation clutching at every muscle in her body. The darkness felt alive, pulsing, breathing, and whispering. Each heartbeat matched the chaos swirling around her, much too loud, much too real. "Play or suffer," they chanted, the shadows waltzing in a frenzy, a sea of dark limbs clawing at her sanity. Jess felt her grip on reality slipping as they drew closer, their twisted faces morphing into grins that promised pain and sorrow. "No!" Jess yelled again, her voice a defiant arrow slicing through the night, a shattering of the spell holding her. Yet deep down, uncertainty brewed. Did she have the strength to resist? A shimmering light cut through the abyss, an opening breaking like dawn through the night. Jess lunged towards it, the camcorder illuminating her path with desperate determination. The shadows shrieked behind her, their cries a cacophony that threatened to pull her back into the abyss. As she reached the light, she turned to face the dark once more. "I'll find you, my loves. I want to stop," she vowed, though doubt hung heavy in the air like a noose. The shadows seemed to retreat momentarily, their whispers fading into a low hiss. Jess stepped through the light, heart pounding as the world shifted around her. What she found on the other side filled her with dread. It wasn't her home. The walls were painted in dull colors, shadows trapped in bizarre shapes, and the air felt sickly sweet, too thick to breathe. "Welcome to the game," Jess' voice echoed ominously, a voice that sent ice cascading down her spine. The darkness simmered on the edges, waiting for her next move. What had she jumped into? Did she just lose her way, or step right into a trap set by forces unseen? Panic clawed at her chest as she realized she had not escaped. She had entered a new level of horror she couldn't comprehend. "What do I do now?" she whispered, frantically scanning her surroundings for an answer. The walls closed in tighter, shadows splattering all around her, swirling, beckoning, whispering. This was only the beginning, wasn't it? Jess's breath came in shallow gasps, her eyes wide against the oppressive gloom. The air felt heavy, like it was pressing down on her, making every movement sluggish and agonizing. The camcorder flickered again, dimming to a ghostly glow, casting long shadows that waltzed along the grotesque walls. "Welcome to the game," echoed the sinister voice, dripping with mockery. Panic surged within her, and she spun around, searching for any sign, any clue. "Mom!" cried a familiar voice. It cut through the dismal atmosphere like a scalpel. Jess froze. It was Lily, but where was she? Lily, where are you? Jess shouted, the urgency tearing at her throat. The silence that followed felt like a thunderclap, amplifying her fears. Shadows shifted, and the soft murmur of the walls increased. They were alive, pulsating with a dark energy that clawed at her sanity. Jess, another voice crooned. Eli. Each word dripped with a false tenderness. You have to play, it's the only way. No! She screamed, the word reverberating in the gloom. I want to betray you. She believed them to be trapped somewhere, manipulated by this insidious force. Jess felt her heart race, each beat echoing like a drum against her chest. The camcorder flashed images again, jerky and fragmented. There was her house, but it flickered with static, the scenes tainted. Smiles twisted into frowns, love turned into discord. Eli's laughter morphed into cries for help, his eyes wide with terror. Just a game, Mommy, the whisper slithered around her. The shadows gleamed, dark fingers curling around Jess's legs like spectral vines. They pulled at her, eager for her despair. Find the key. A new voice screeched, screeching like a banshee. But where? The darkness offered no answers. Suddenly, a glimmer caught her eye. A single page, tattered and stained, fluttered in the corner of the room. She dashed toward it, fighting against the shadows clinging to her. The light from the camcorder barely pierced the blackness, but she managed to grab the paper. Her heart hitching. It was a note. The ink smeared, but one line was clear. The game begins when the truth is uncovered. But truth? What truth? Desperation clawed at her throat, choking her thoughts. She wasn't equipped for this twisted reality. There was no time to think. The shadows shrieked again, and the walls trembled, a sickening quake shaking everything around her. Mommy! Help! The cries grew louder, echoing in her mind, morphing into a haunting symphony of chaos. Lily! Eli! She shouted, willing her children to break free from the grip of whatever evil awaited them. She pressed onward, clinging tightly to the note, hoping to discover the key to their salvation. Suddenly, a door appeared, seemingly materializing from the swirling black. It was battered and old, inviting and menacing at the same time. Every instinct screamed at her to run. Every rational thought pleaded for caution. Don't be afraid, Mommy, the twisted voices cut through the haze. She hesitated, fingers grazing the rusted handle. With a sinking feeling, Jess pulled the door open, shrieking as an icy breath swept over her, setting every nerve ablaze. What lay behind it? Could it be another glimpse into her children's fate? Or was it the final step into a nightmare beyond comprehension? The shadows swarmed closer, pressing against her, their whispers lining her skin with ice. What's next? Jess whispered, fear igniting within her. The threshold opened to another world, and the game was still only just beginning. Would she find her children, or let the darkness consume her? The night held its breath, eager for her answer. Jess stepped through the doorway, her heart pounding like a war drum in her chest. A frigid air engulfed her, clinging to her skin with the touch of death. The room was dim, lit only by an eerie glow emanating from an old television set that flickered in the corner. Its screen was static for a moment, then images coalesced, distorted faces twisted in horror, shadows flickering at the edges, and haunting screams that echoed in Jess's mind. Stop! She cried, clutching her head, as the sound swirled around her. The camcorder flickered an urgent warning, illuminating a path before her, but the macabre visions consumed her. The faces morphed into her children's, their features warped by suffering. Mommy, the voice came from behind her, soft and fragile. Jess spun around. Beneath a flickering light, she saw Lily, her small frame trembling. Help me, Mommy! Lily. Jess lunged toward her, but the shadows surged forward, enveloping her child. Panic gripped her, a vice around her throat. Lily. No! She screamed, reaching helplessly as the darkness swallowed her daughter. Do you want to join her? The sinister voice crooned from the darkness, its laughter curling like smoke around her. Jess's blood ran cold. Enough. With newfound determination, she turned back to the television, desperate to reverse the curse that had taken her children. She knew the key was hidden in the truth. What happened in the past? Her mind raced with flashbacks of their mundane lives, the last evening they had spent together. Had she missed something? With grim resolve, she stepped closer to the screen, holding the camcorder like a defense weapon. The images trembled. She had to find her way through this distortion. Truth is power, she murmured, the words forming a lifeline against the growing abyss. Suddenly, the screen shifted again, causing her to stumble back. There they were, Lily and Eli, smiling and carefree, playing in their backyard. But in an instant, the scene warped. The children writhed in agony, their laughter morphing into tortured wails. The yard darkened, clouds swirling ominously overhead. Mommy Eli's voice echoed through the night, desperate and laced with fear. Jess's heart shattered, realizing how quickly joy could turn to despair. Stop it! She cried, determination flaring anew. Show me! What do I need to know? The room trembled. The television burst with static, and the whispers crescendoed, wrapping around her. She braced herself against the chaos, desperate for clarity. Then, an image broke through. A keyhole-shaped light flickered at the bottom of the screen. Within it danced the silhouettes of her children. Together, Mommy, the hushed tones sang. Find us together, together, she repeated, dread whispering at her mind. Were they telling her? Or were the shadows weaving deeper lies to ensnare her? The dark fingers pulled tighter, tearing at her resolve. She glanced back at the door, the threshold to her escape, but it flickered like an illusion. Don't turn back, the malicious laughter echoed, chilling her bones. With heart stuttering, Jess stepped back toward the screen, resolving to forge ahead. She had a truth to uncover. Suddenly, the lights flickered out completely, leaving her shrouded in complete darkness, save for the ghostly glow of the screen. Then the whispers turned into screams, a cacophony of terror wrapping around her, pulling her deeper. Welcome to the game, they taunted, and Jess realized with dawning horror that she was far from alone in this void. Mommy! A voice rang out once again, the voices of her children blending with the shadows. Find the truth, they echoed, as the room began to collapse around her. The ground shook beneath her feet, making her heart race. What awaited her in this twisted game? Would revealing the truth lead her to her children, or seal their fates even further? The darkness grew colder, and just as breath quickened, she had to choose. Would she discover the truth, or would it consume her entirely? The shadows beckoned, and the night waited for her answer. The room spun violently, as Jess felt the ground slip away beneath her. The screams pierced through the darkness, a cacophony of despair that rumbled deep within her. She wanted to scream back, to drown out the chaos surrounding her, but her voice felt trapped inside her throat. Panic tightened all around her, a dark force clawing at her insides. Lily. Eli! She called, her voice cracking like shattered glass. Where are you? The screen pulsed, illuminating eerie shadows dancing along the walls. They moved like serpents, slithering closer, their whispers brushing against her skin. She could almost taste the bitterness of their malice as they brushed past, urging her to succumb to the void. No! Jess slashed her free hand through the air, fighting back against the urge to be enveloped by the darkness. She turned back to the screen, where flickering images morphed and contorted. Show me the truth? The television crackled with static, and she braced herself as the static climbed into frantic sound, shouts, cries, the frenzy of disaster spiraling into chaos. The imagery solidified into a distorted tableau of a family home, a scene from her own life. The brief flash of her children, laughing together, quickly twisted into something grotesque. Shadows tormented their tiny frames, mocking their innocence. Changed the game, the echoes of 1,000 voices chanted, as the floor beneath her shook like a living entity. A chill pierced her from the inside out, pooling in the pit of her stomach. She stumbled, seized with a desperate instinct to flee. "No! This is not what happened!" she cried, heart racing faster than she could breathe. The room felt alive and twisted, grasping at her limbs, pulling at her resolve. The voices turned sinister, threading together words that struck against her heart like nails. "You were the key all along, shut up!" Jess shouted back, her desperation spilling over into rage. She was teetering on the edge of sanity, fighting against the flood of memories and nightmares threatening to drown her. "I will never give in." With that, the lights flickered back to life for a moment. Swathed in that surreal light was a doorway, a glowing frame appearing suddenly behind the television. It flickered like a beckoning flame, arching into a portal that promised escape. But just as quickly as it appeared, darkness surged over it, snuffing out that slim hope. The shadows howled with laughter, their cold breath wrapping around her. "You want the truth? You must pay the price." Her heart plunged at their implication. The price? What kind of sacrifice did it demand? The thought carved panic deep within her. But the voices of her children whispered on the edges of her mind, fragile, desperate, calling for her. "Mommy, please!" Through the haze, vivid images flooded her mind all at once. An argument with her husband, a choice that felt wrong, the last evening they shared before everything changed. Secrets she had buried deep. The tension was suffocating, wrapping tighter, squeezing the breath from her lungs. She staggered back against the cold wall, staring at the flickering screen, desperate to piece together the fragments of her reality. "Together," she whispered, as an understanding, painful and raw, settled in her chest. "I must face it all." The room trembled violently again, a pulse that resonated deep within her bones. And in that moment, she understood this game demanded more than she wished to give. Suddenly, the screen exploded into shards of glass, and Jess was hurled backward into the abyss. With her heart pounding and terror clawing at her throat, she felt herself falling, swallowed whole by the darkness. As she descended, a single thought echoed through the void: would she be able to reconcile the truth of her past before it consumed her entirely? The shadows whispered in anticipation, waiting for her answer, eager for the reckoning to begin. The darkness engulfed Jess, wrapping her in a smothering embrace. She fell, spiraling into a deeper void where time had no meaning. Each heartbeat echoed in her ears, thump, 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 threatening to drown out the despair around her. Then suddenly it stopped. She landed hard on a damp, cold floor, gasping for breath. The air was heavy with a metallic tang, like blood mixed with rust. Around her, the shadows pulled back momentarily, revealing a dimly lit corridor a few feet ahead. Jagged walls bowed inward, and the atmosphere hummed with an electric tension. "Lily! Eli!" she shouted again, her voice cracking, merging with the phantoms that lingered. Each syllable seemed to sink into the walls, absorbed by that endless darkness. Shapes flickered in the corners of her vision. Shadows morphed into figures, darting away as she tried to focus on them. Desperation broke through her fear. "Please, show me where they are." Out of the gloom, a dim light pulsed, swelling and receding like a heartbeat. It drew her closer, filling her with an urge she couldn't resist. She stumbled forward, her heart racing as she navigated the eerie corridor. The walls, textured and clammy, prodded her skin, squeezing her thoughts into a vice grip. The light began to coalesce into an image: distorted faces, twisted grins. They tortured her with laughter, mocking her pleas. "You want the truth? Come find it," the shadows hissed, their voices slinking into her mind like thick smoke. Then, The walls began to pulse, beating like a heart. Each thrum resonated through her core, beckoning her to follow. She pressed on, feet dragging against the chill, until she reached an arched doorway clad in shadows. With a trembling hand, Jess pushed it open. The room inside was vast, filled with swirling mist that twisted into nightmarish shapes. And there, in the center, stood a tall mirror, its surface black as tar, reflecting only darkness. She felt drawn to it, a magnet pulling her unresolved turmoil closer. As she stepped closer, the reflection shifted, a family portrait, her husband, her children, their faces dimmed, consumed by terror. "Mommy! Help us!" Their tiny voices cried again, breaking her heart into jagged pieces. "No! I need to," but before she could finish, the mirror trembled violently, and a thick ripple washed over its surface. Jess recoiled as a figure emerged from within, a smirk on its lips that chilled her bones. "Someone is searching for you," it rasped, its voice low and clawing. "Are you ready to give what is demanded?" "I want to let you take them," Jess shouted back, defiance fueling her. "I'll do whatever it takes." The figure laughed, the sound hollow and echoing. "Only the truth and your surrender, dear Jess. Your pain will free them." The air suddenly thickened, swirling with memories and regrets. Vivid flashes erupted around her: Lily's first steps, Eli's birthday party, laughter and sunlight, all twisted into images of grief and sorrow. "What have you hidden?" the figure taunted, stepping closer, manipulatively elegant. Tears blurred Jess's vision as the weight of her past crashed down hard. The truth was a savage beast, gnawing at her soul. But surrender? That felt like a plunge into an endless abyss. Face it all, the reflection urged, or live in eternal shadows. Panic gripped her chest, but within it, undying hope flickered. She could fight, her willingness to confront her darkness could save them. And then, just as she made her decision, the mirror shattered. Glass exploded outward, and Jess flung herself back, shards raining around her like falling stars. And through the chaos, she saw a glimpse of her children, their faces crying out, desperately reaching for her. With a gasp, she steadied herself. Could she really summon the past and unravel the truth? The shadows squirmed around her, hungry for her answer, cloaked in a sinister anticipation. "Think," the figure urged, its voice slipping through her resolve. "Can you handle the price?" Her heart raced. Was she ready to confront the hidden truths, or would she risk losing everything again? The darkness laughed, echoing her fear, and Jess's resolve trembled, caught between two worlds, the one she knew and the one that eagerly awaited her answer. Something sinister loomed, and she could feel it closing in. Would the truth save her, or would it cast her deeper into the void? Jess's heart pounded in her chest as she stared into the shattered mirror, feeling reality twist around her like a vice. Each jagged shard reflected fragmented memories, her children's laughter, the quiet joys of family life, then swiftly twisted into moments of regret. Anger boiled within her. Pain clashed with the determination to save them. "Face it all," the sinister figure hissed, its voice echoing like a drumbeat of doom. "Or be consumed by the shadows forever." Screams echoed from the distance, the cries of her children twisting around her heart like ivy, suffocating yet familiar. "Mommy! Help us!" their voices called from somewhere deep within the shadows. Jess couldn't back down. Drawing a fierce breath, she stepped forward, determined to unravel the knot tangled tight in her heart. "You want the truth? I'll give it to you." The words spilled from her, infused with her raw anguish. "But you won't hold my children hostage anymore." The darkness seemed to ripple in response, pulsating as if it were a living entity. "Your pain will free them," the figure repeated, voice dripping with malice. "Let them go." Jess screamed, her voice ripping through the thick air. "It's my burden to bear, not theirs." Suddenly, the shards of glass began to swirl and rise, forming shapes that morphed into specters of her past. Images flood her mind. The night they lost everything, the argument that shattered their family. I was trying to protect them, she roared, anger and sorrow mingling. The figure laughed, a chilling sound that echoed in the darkness. Protecting them, or hiding from the truth? Memories clawed their way back to her, painting a vivid tapestry of emotions, deep regret mingled with fleeting joy, darkness entwined with love. Could she truly confront the hidden demons? The air thickened around her, a pressure building like a storm ready to break. Together, Jess cried out, the word igniting a flame of hope. We can face it together. She stepped towards the remnants of the broken mirror, no longer a reflection of fear, but a portal to her children. In that moment, she felt a shift of vibration of the very fabric around her. The figure recoiled slightly, its energy rippling like water disturbed. Face the truth? Jess clenching her fists, she grasped the camcorder and leveled it towards the swirling shadows of memories. I will not let you take my family. Show me the truth. And just like that, the camcorder flickered to life, illuminating the darkened purpose of the room. The screen revealed the past, not twisted in horror, but unearthing hidden moments of tenderness. Eli learning to ride a bike, Lily's first day at school, family dinners overflowing with laughter. Their love was a fire ignited through the chaos of their lives. Jess felt the warmth spread through her, grounding her in truth. As the images flowed like a river, they began to merge into something more profound. Jess shouted a word of recognition. Love. This is the truth. I allowed fear to take hold, but love kept us alive. It always has. The shadowy figure writhed, its features distorting, anger swirling as darkness began to splinter. No! It shrieked, overwhelmed by the brilliance of her realization. In that tumultuous moment, Jess sprinted toward the flickering light, fearlessness swelling in her chest. My children are not alone. We're in this together. With one final surge, she slammed the camcorder down. The device captured their cries, echoing powerfully through the void, intertwining with the memory of laughter, creating a crescendo of light so blinding it shattered the darkness. The shadows lost their grip, shrieking in terror as they melted away. As the darkness dissipated, Jess felt her heart lift. The room filled with brilliant light, the past and present melding into a rich tapestry of their lives, a vibrant shrine of love that defied the shadows. Mommy! Eli's and Lily's voices pierced through the brilliance, and Jess turned. There they were, safe and whole, illuminated within a radiant sphere of protection. With a leap, Jess embraced them tightly, tears streaming down her face. I thought I lost you. I'm so sorry, but they were safe. The game was over. We're together, Mommy. It's okay. Lily's voice rang, full of innocence and wonder. It was true. Together they emerged from the depths, ready to begin anew, each holding the warmth of hope in their hearts. Jess took a deep breath, knowing that love was the key, the light that would keep the shadows at bay. Days passed. They rebuilt their lives, laughter returning to their home as Jess tucked the camcorder away, sealing any whispers of darkness. Each moment shared became a cherished memory, a promise kept alive. Though remnants of fear lingered, they learned to embrace the light. Together they had faced their demons and found their way home. Jess felt a familiar flutter in her chest, warmth spreading as they nestled into the beautiful chaos of the life they built together. As they lay in bed one night, eyes heavy with sleep, Jess looked at her children. I love you both so much, she whispered. We love you too, Mommy, they replied, drifting off to a peaceful night, prayers wrapped in their hearts as shadows receded, surrendered to the bright light of love. And so, the story of survival became a testament, a reminder to always choose love. Jess smiled, knowing she'd face whatever came next with her family by her side. But time suspended itself, and in the stillness of the night, something stirred, a flicker in the corner of her eye. No scoffing, no dismissing, just a hard ride home, bring this emotional journey to conclusion. Remember, the game is never truly over. You need to subscribe now to catch more exclusive stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and ensure you don't miss a thing. Flood the comments with your thoughts, theories, and reactions. Let's hear how this ending resonated with you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this conclusion. Your support means everything.